Hi, and welcome to another episode of It's Sexy When Men Cook. I'm Craig, and today we are in the midst of pandemic, so we're trying to cook with what we've got sitting around the house or what we can readily get at the store. And one of the things that I've noticed as I've been shopping this last couple weeks, certain things are running out very quickly. Obviously, like certain canned goods, pastas, things like that are gone. We're going to actually have a steak meal, pan-seared steak with rosemary and chipolline onions and carrots. And this is stuff I got at the store yesterday. You just got to be a little creative. The meat I got was a round steak. A lot of the traditional meats were gone. You got to tenderize round steak. It is not the most tender cut of meat, but it's one that, as of yesterday, you could still find in the markets. It takes a little bit more. You've got to trim it. So once you get your round steaks and you cut it into the size portion, and typically you're going to be looking at medallions about this size or steaks about that size, about 3 inches across, maybe 4 inches across if you want to get crazy. About anywhere from a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. And then you're going to cut the excess fat off. These are Wagyu steaks, so there's a lot of marbling in that, and I'll show you here in just a minute. And what I did is I seasoned these overnight. Ooh. We're going to just pound that down a bit. Here, see if I can make it so it doesn't. And all I've done is I've just kind of wrapped this cellophane around it. And we'll just pound it down so it gets a little ragged. A little ragged around the edges. You don't really need to kill it. You're not trying to destroy it. You're just trying to tenderize it a bit. That's what these little tenderizing hammers are for. And if you don't have one of these, you can use the back of a spoon, or you can use the butt end of a spoon or something like that. If you don't have a tenderizer, if you got a hammer, use a hammer, whatever it takes. But once you've got these tenderized, you're going to have these beautiful steaks. And that's going to be nice and warm. I don't want that to get too hot because I don't want to burn the butter when we put it in. So I've got it on low. Now if I can just pull this apart. But you can see where that's kind of been flattened out a little bit. And the thing I love about the Wagyu over a lot of other types of beef is you can see there's tremendous marbling in this steak already. And that's one of the things that makes round steak kind of tough sometimes, is it's very, very lean. So to get a round steak with this much fat marbling in it is just amazing. So let's go ahead and let's get some butter in here, and I'm expecting this to sizzle a little bit. I've tried to keep it fairly low. Oh good, it didn't. Oh, I'm just going to let that kind of melt down. And while that is doing that, I'm going to get a little bit of we got some kosher granulated sea salt here, and a little bit of ground pepper, a little black pepper, and we're not going to kill it. We're just going to season. Like I said, now I did season this overnight, and I did pack it with quite a bit of salt so that it would help that tenderize that meat a little bit. Okay, that's good and melted. And we're going to turn our heat up a bit. And we've got our digital thermometer, and I love the digital thermometers. There's a whole wide array of different kinds you can buy. This is the one I use, because one of the things we want to do is we want to get our steak to the right temperature, and whether you want that medium rare or you want it well done, that's up to you. I'm more of a medium guy, so I kind of like my steak somewhere between 140, 145, 147-ish. But we're going to check this. You can start, technically you can eat the steak once it hits about 135. That's going to be fairly rare. If you want it really well done, push it over the top of 145 degrees, and it'll be well done. A lot of people consider that steak a hockey puck at that point in time. Okay, we're going to let that cook. And one of the things you're going to do when you're cooking with cast iron, you're going to want to have a spoon that's pretty good. And let's see, another thing, you're going to want to have one of these, because cast iron has a tendency to get rather hot. And the trick to this, a lot of times, is you just want to keep layering that butter over your steak. And we're just going to kind of let this do its thing here. I've turned it up a little bit so it'll get going. We've got some beautiful rosemary. We've washed it. Oh, so fragrant, so nice. It's just got that great smell to it. And we're going to drop a couple of these bigger fronds in here. Might use more of those later, but right now we're going to just let that do its thing. And we got that heat just about where you want it. Yep. Okay, we're cooking. Now, let's move over to our next thing, which is these Chipoline onions. And all you got to do is you want to peel them before you use them, cook them with anything else. And so you're going to blanch them for about a couple of minutes. Just drop them right into some boiling water for 2-3 minutes max. And then when they come out, you're going to drain them, and you're going to kind of take the top and the bottom off like that. And then ta-da! You have a beautifully blanched onion that's ready to be cooked. So I'm going to cut a few of these up. We're watching those steaks, and they're doing just fine. And we're going to need to get back to those here in just a moment. But I'm going to go ahead and prep a couple more of these Cipollines. I feel like we should have some music in the background. There's literally like nobody here today, so it's kind of weird. We're kind of doing all this. Normally there's like background noise, or there's something going on. Somebody's cooking in one of the other rooms, or they're prepping for a dinner or something. Culinary. We do a lot of culinary date nights here at Slice. We also do those through Airbnb, which obviously right now is not running either. Oh, look at this. This is getting good now. Got some good butter in there. Got that rosemary. I hope you can see this. This is literally what you're going to do. Let's go ahead and turn these real quick. Yeah, you got to kind of cook these. You want to get a good sear on them, so you want to be hot, but you don't want to be so hot that you're burning the butter. Let's check our temperature and see where we're at. Okay, good. That one's done. Okay, that one's done. We're done. Okay. I'm going to pull those off, let those rest. Now these are, like I said, already cooked. All we really kind of do is just get a little bit of flavoring in there, let those get nice, absorb some of those juices. Now you could cook these too, but like I said, they've already been blanched, so they're mostly cooked. I mean, if you want to really grill them down, that's fine, but you want to preserve, you want to make sure you get that beautiful white color. Okay, that's off. We're going to let those rest. And we're going to get a plate because it's time to get ready to start plating. It's amazing. Madison really is helpful. Even though I know that she doesn't think she's doing much. Sometimes she really does help with things like this. I need a plate. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I am or where I'm going. All right, so these are done. And what we're going to do, we've rested them for a little bit. Typically, what you want to do is, when you're looking at steak, and let's say where this is a tougher piece of meat, this round steak's a tougher piece of meat, you kind of can see where the grain where the grain lies, and you want to cut kind of across the grain. You don't want to cut with the grain because that makes it a bigger, chewier, and it feels like you're chewing forever. That's because they've cut it with the grain. So this grain on this steak is running this way, so I'm going to cut it this way, which will give it a slightly easier mouth. And just for you that like more well done steak, this is more well done. I think it got to about 150, so a little hotter than I would normally like it. And a little bit of salt and pepper. Bon appetit. And again, this is from stuff that I bought at the store yesterday in the middle of a pandemic crisis. So maybe there's no toilet paper, but you could probably find some round steak, some organic little carrots, some Chipoline onions, a little bit of rosemary, and you've just made a very elegant dish for not a lot of money and in the middle of a crisis. So this is Craig signing off. Looking forward to seeing you again on the next episode of It's Sexy When Men Cook, hopefully from Hawaii. Talk to you soon. Bye.